Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and today we're going to be talking about quite a bit. There's some returning series, so like right now, this is the Q series, where I've been going to recap what I've been watching for the month of July, which hasn't been a lot because I've actually been traveling a lot, so I haven't really had time to watch much. I'm also working a lot more now to recover from said travels. But I'm going to be talking about that, what's going up on the channel in the coming month. There's going to be quite a bit of return of some things, so I'll talk about that in a second. So actually, you know, there's a lot of really cool things. There's one thing that I wanted to mention before we jump into what I've been watching for the month is what's coming up in August. So there's going to be another theme month. I've actually been listening to a certain podcast that has revived my love of these films that I'll get to very, very quickly in the coming week, I guess, when this video is going to happen and what my theme month is going to be. But that podcast has just been giving me so much love and appreciation for these films, and so I can't wait to jump back into this. So you'll see what that means soon. So stay tuned on the channel for that coming up for the month of August. But also another thing that actually started a few months ago that I actually kind of went off of because I was preparing to travel soon. And so it kind of cut this thing a little bit short. But each week I actually was doing a short video series called the question/prompt series. I never had like an official title for it, but I'm going to be reviving this. Actually, there were 3 questions I had asked previously. So each week what I do is I would ask a prompt, a question, and in the audience, yourself watching this right now, you would answer in the comment section down below. You know, something simple, right? It could be a sentence or two, it could be even a word, or even a paragraph if you want really to do that. And I usually interacted with you in that. But by the end of the month of that entire question series, I would do a giveaway, and that's what I'm going to be reviving again. But this time, big news, I'm going to be doing this as a live stream. So honestly, the people who aren't watching this as you know, they're watching the question and prompt series each week, they can answer there, but then they can jump in and have different other kind of questions and elaboration on a lot of these different things. So I welcome you to join at the end of that, at the end of the month when we do this kind of giveaway live stream as we're doing this in the question and prompt series. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for more details. I haven't figured out an exact date yet, but it'll be near the end of the month of August. So there's a lot of things coming up on the channel. Cool theme month, and question and prompt series is going to be coming back. But on top of that, of course, there's going to be other types of videos, a lot of Blu-ray hauls. In fact, this is in place of a video that I was hoping to make very soon, and I am sure when it comes in the mail, I will be making a video separately of a particular title that I have coming towards me, but it is stuck in Chicago. It's been stuck there for about 5 days now. I haven't seen any movement, so that's unfortunate, but we'll get there, and stay tuned for that when it does come into place. So with all that being said, this is a long intro to get into my Q series for what I've been watching for the month of July 2022. So like I said, I've been traveling a lot, but right before I traveled, let's begin with what I started off with on July 1st, around that time period. But before I jump into that, I want to ask you, what have you been watching for the month of July? I would love to know in the comment section down below. All right, so the first thing I watched was the last thing that I picked up from the Vinegar Syndrome sale that they had, the halfway to Black Friday sale that happened, I guess, a few months ago. But this is the last thing that I needed to watch, and this is Martha, A Picture Story. So this came out in 2019 and is a documentary by Selena Miles, and it comes actually with this really cool photograph. And I think I talked a little bit about this not that long ago, talking about how cool this, I was so excited to check this out. But yeah, it's a really great slipcover. I really love the bright yellow here, but it is of Martha Cooper, who is this camera person who worked, I guess, as a journalist, and she would go, in the 1970s, she would go around New York and look at graffiti and street art and really champion that. And so it's just really cool to see that side of things right before I was about to travel over to the UK. And so that's actually something that I spotted on my travels overseas, as I was looking a lot for graffiti, oddly enough, because of this film, this documentary. And I had a really fun time with this one, and it really put me in the mood to travel in some weird way. This was actually really aptly timed that I decided to watch this right before I went. And yeah, I actually caught up with all the titles that I had picked up and watched during the Halfway to Black Friday sale, which is a rarity for me and a rarity for a lot of people, I'm sure. Once you pick up titles, you usually put them on the shelf, right? That's just what happens. All right, so next I want to talk about a few titles that I watched with my buddy Sam, film blogger Sam. I was able to come over to his home and watch a few titles with him, and this was a lot of fun. I actually do not have the discs that he had, so there's going to be a few films that I'll talk about that I don't have physically, but I did prompt a purchase because of a title we watched, and I actually have the Arrow video version of this, but he has the 88 Films version, and that is the 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. My God, I loved this film. This is starring Gordon Liu, Alexander Fusheng, of course, and Lau Kar-leung is the director. Came out in 1984, and man, oh man, this movie is just amazing. I haven't even unwrapped my version yet. Apparently this is the version to get, though I do know that the 88 Films limited edition is no longer available. There is a standard edition, of course, but this has a lot more special features is what I've heard. So I have the US Arrow version of this, but very excited to rewatch this sometime soon. But I had such a blast with this. It's really about a family who was betrayed by the government officials who also sided with the Mongols. Yeah, of 2 brothers who survived this massacre. One of them taking refuge in a Buddhist temple and becoming a fighter, a monk, and reclaiming revenge. While the other one a little bit crazy. There's a lot of funny moments in this. In fact, there was a moment in this title, in this film that we watched when near the beginning, the opening sequence of the big battle that happened, when the betrayal happened, that Sam and I just looked at each other. We're like, it was that much fun. Yeah, so I definitely highly recommend this classic martial arts film. This is definitely one of my favorite films that I had watched on my journey overseas, and highly recommend it. So if you haven't seen 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, definitely do yourself a favor and check it out. All right, so the next film I have is another one I don't have on me, but this is a film that I'm definitely going to pick up sometime, probably near October when there's a sale or something. But I'm talking about Scream Factory's version of Serial Mom. John Waters' film from 1994. My God, this movie was so much fun. So I'm hit and miss with John Waters. I love him as a person. Not necessarily the biggest fan of his films. This is something that I need to like be in a particular mood to watch something that John Waters does, right? He's a very eccentric dude, very gross dude when it comes to some of the things he makes, but I love it. It's tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, there's a reason why John Waters is, so highly touted in this community. He's a great guy, and makes some really fun and trashy films, of course. But Serial Mom is one of those films that is definitely more mainstream, more accessible. There's obviously hints of John Waters you can immediately see in the film itself, but it really is about a mom who's living in the suburbs with her family, and then you just start noticing little irritations and tics, and she just gives into that and kills people, and it's so like obvious and subtle. Well, it's like I just said 2 things that are antonyms of each other, but it is so much fun seeing that dynamic and that change up, and the family just being super oblivious to it. I know Matthew Lillard's in it as the son, and it's just amazing. But yeah, Kathleen Turner as the mother is just amazing. Best performance, best mother of the year for 1984. Even though I was around at that time. So Mom, if you're watching this, you're actually my number 1. But anyway, I did really love Serial Mom, and yeah, I definitely recommend it, and I cannot wait to own it myself. Next, we watched a film from 1980, another martial arts film, this starring Jackie Chan and directed by Jackie Chan, another film, a limited edition, so I can't get this particular edition. I don't remember what company put it out. It's either 101 or 88. They've been putting it right here, but it is The Young Master. From 1980, and it was a really fun film. Jackie Chan is really good at getting his ass kicked, and he's really good at selling that, and I love that. So it really is about a film who is of a man who is falsely accused, a student who's falsely accused, and it just really that situation, trying to figure out like this crime that he committed. He's like, I'm not this person, and figuring it out in a lot of silly ways, but also at the same time, there's a really incredible sequence near the beginning of the film where they're doing this dance between competing factions, competing schools perhaps, and that is one of the most engaging scenes I had seen in a martial arts film, and I just really loved it, and I would love to rewatch it again. and get my thoughts on it completely. So yeah, Young Master, I definitely recommend it. If I can figure out how to get this film, I will. But yeah, like I said, I know that the limited edition is not in print anymore. But anyway, it was a really fun time. So other than that, I was able to come back home and watch some movies on an airplane, which are not the best place to watch movies, but you know, you can turn your brain off and try to kill some time if you're going on a flight that takes about 8 hours to get back home. And one of the films that I watched was Parallel Mothers, the Pedro Almodovar film starring Penelope Cruz and Melina Smith. And this was a weird movie to watch on a plane. I shouldn't have done that. So my mind is a little bit warped on it because of my surrounding area where I was around people. Very interesting. But it is about two mothers, unplanned mothers actually, who meet at a hospital when they're giving birth at the same exact time. And they're very different situations in life. One's much younger than the other one. And they develop this bond just by being near each other and having there's a couple of things in the movie I can't really talk about unless you want to watch it yourself. So there's really really good development of these characters and the relationships that they have engaged with themselves and the people around them. And it's definitely worth a watch just based on that alone. So it really is a good movie, but definitely do not recommend watching it on an airplane. Other than that, I watched Encanto, which came out last year as well, 2021. And this is Disney's film. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think visually and the voice actor work was really great. I had a really fun time with it. This is a film I would recommend watching on a plane, right? The exact opposite of Parallel Mothers. Yeah, it was really fun. But I will say, it kind of ended abruptly. I don't feel like it built towards anything. That's definitely one of the detractors of this movie. Is definitely a lesser Disney movie I've seen of recent years. It's definitely not the best one in the world, but it visually looks great, like I said, and I think that the voice acting is really fun too. And I really like the direction of it as well, besides the fact that the third act kind of just falls apart and just comes together really quick and just feels really sped up. But yeah, a good movie to watch on a plane if you're ever on a plane anytime soon. But that is all I watched on the plane. Besides, I watched a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes, which, by the way, I had seen like the first season of years ago, which I wasn't super into, but now I'm like super into Curb Your Enthusiasm because I'm relating to it as I'm getting older and I'm becoming more of a curmudgeon with people outside in the real world. But anyway, I really loved Larry David. There was a really funny episode I watched on the plane where Larry David spilled coffee on a KKK member's cloak, and he's like, his obligation was to clean it, even though it's clearly Larry David's Jewish. So he's like, nah, well, I have to fix this, I guess, to make up some kind of point. And he gives it to his dry cleaner, and he kind of sells it as like, oh, it's just bed sheets. And then he sees the symbol, and hijinks ensue. The suit gets lost. It gets lost, right? It's quite funny, and I really loved Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I need to start watching it more. So there's a lot of shows that I need to watch, and Curb Your Enthusiasm is one of them. So definitely looking forward to that sometime in the near future. But that's all I watched on the plane, thank goodness. And then I finally got back home, and in the middle of my jet lag, I actually was gifted this from a friend, and I watched Goodbye Dragon Inn. So I watched this at 3 in the morning. My jet lag obviously warped my sense of time, and so I woke up in the midst. I was like, you know what? I think it's time to watch this in my fog of my mind. And I loved this movie. I'm probably going to mispronounce this name, but Tsai Ming Liang. It's a Taiwanese film in Taipei City. Of cavernous old picture palace where it's about to close its doors forever, and they're going to be playing Dragon Inn, and it really does follow along the one employee who really works here, a lonely Japanese guy who's coming over there for more than just the movie. He wants something else, a more of a sexual favor, but. Man, this movie is meditative. It's comedic, it's hilarious, it's emotional, it's everything I wanted and a movie to watch at 3 in the morning, especially on a trip that I just came back from where I had many experiences that I'll never forget. It was absolutely something that blew my mind, just being there at that time. It hit at the very perfect moment when I watched this. And but like I said, I didn't expect this movie to be funny. There's a lot of really comedic parts of this movie. It almost feels like a haunted palace of sorts, movie palace. And yeah, I think it is a really phenomenal film that once you are in the right state of mind, you can watch something like this. And so, I like I said, was saying about Martha earlier on before I left, and then coming back and watching Good, Bad, Dragon In, it was a really cathartic experience and having those bookend experiences. So these are movies that I'll never forget because of that trip I just had. And, this is something that's just an incredible response here that I didn't expect to have. So yeah, go watch this movie at 3 o'clock in the morning when you woke up, have a cup of coffee, have yourself a good time, relax, let it envelop over you, and see what you do with it. So yeah, Goodbye Dragon Inn. Also, yeah, I haven't even mentioned, watch Dragon Inn. It's not really necessarily a part of the film. It is a part of the movie a little bit. There's a lot of really cool sequences, so you can understand parts of the film itself, Dragon Inn, and then seeing this as a last film that's connected to this movie palace in Taipei City. So yes, really fantastic film from Second Run. Really happy to have it. All right, so next is a film from Arrow Video. I got this in the mail when I wasn't home, but I got the 4K edition of Wild Things, and wow, I had a really fun time with this. This movie came out in 1998, so the late 90s, and this movie poster I remember to death. Unfortunately, I don't have the poster in front of me, but it's right over there. I'm pretty sure it's got the reversible cover in here, probably, of some sort. No, yeah, maybe. Yeah, it does. There it is. That is the movie poster that I remember growing up and seeing, and of course, as a young boy, you're like, well, what is this? But regardless of that, I didn't expect this movie to be as good as it was. So this is an insane film. This is starring Matt Dillon, Kevin Bacon, Neve Campbell, of course, and Denise Richards. Those are our 4 main characters in it, and they are right there. But man, oh man, this movie is fantastic. This is directed by John McNaughton, who has done recently, Arrow also put out Henry, A Portrait of a Serial Killer, which I have not seen yet either. But I didn't expect to know much about this, but this is a really fantastic neo-noir film that is set in Florida, and so there's a lot of the environment around it plays a major role in a lot of the twists and turns, because this movie has so many twists and turns. It's hard to keep up with how many things happen, but it actually worked out to be really, really fantastic. Seeing those twists and turns kind of coming out of nowhere, some of it being very obvious, some of it not being so obvious. So I always love seeing things like that. And this actually thus has entered a part where I'm like, you know what, I want to watch more neo-noir films. And so I might pick up that set from Imprint sometime soon. But yeah, Wild Things was such a fun time. Of course, it's legendary for many different reasons, of course. But besides that, I really love the acting. I love everyone in it. And I think they do a really fantastic job of showcasing a story that goes topsy-turvy very, very fast and in very many different ways. And everyone in it is really cool. This is a really great addition from Arrow, a really great 4K, and definitely recommend you pick this one up if you can get this one. It was a really good price too when I picked it up. So yeah, Wild Things, check it out if you've not seen it before. All right, so the next film I want to mention is I actually was able to go to the theaters not too long ago. I have a lot of things to pick up and watch at the movies. I want to see Nope still, haven't seen that yet, but I did miss Thor Love and Thunder, so I recapped and watched that finally. And I know this movie is very much a film that a lot of people are very all over the place with. I actually quite enjoyed it. I definitely knew going in that this is going to be, obviously it's a Taika Waititi film, right? It's going to be very zany, very comedic. There are some moments in this movie where characters kind of do some weird things that definitely do not feel correct for that character, but of course, just knowing the director, kind of expected nonetheless. But I really did enjoy Chris Hemsworth in this and Natalie Portman. I think they are a really great duo together. Of course, Russell Crowe makes an appearance. That's not a surprise to anyone. And I thought his performance was pretty fun, not too bad. But besides that, of course, we had Christian Bale, which I think he did a really fantastic job as the God Butcher. Of course, it's very different from the Jason Aaron run that we have. If you've read the comics, you might know a little bit different story of that. But I really like the way this movie ends. That might be the most memorable part of the film for me. Is just how this movie ends, and it really does. I felt some emotional resonance when I was watching it. Now I know a lot of people are very polarized about this movie, so I will say that I gave it like a 3 out of 5. So I feel like that's a very fair assessment of this movie. But yeah, I had a good time. Will I rewatch it anytime soon? Probably not. But I still had a good time though, nonetheless. And those goats, they're a lot of fun. So I might keep those guys around. I get that as my ringtone. Does anyone have any ringtones anymore? I don't even know what mine is. So yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? What'd you think? And so now, moving on from there, I was able to watch a film on Shudder. This is actually a recent October announcement from Criterion, and this is actually the reason why I wanted to watch it first before I bought it. But it is the Guatemalan 2019 release of La Llorona, directed by Jairo Bustamante. I hope I said that name correctly. Like I said, it is a Guatemalan story of the classic tale of La Llorona, which we've seen many times, right, from different eras. And this one is definitely more of a political, social class look at the story. And I love the cinematography of this film. This is an unforgettable film from that standpoint. I won't get too much into it because I know a lot of people can go watch it on Shudder right now if you have Shudder, or you want to pick it up in October when it comes out in the Criterion collection. That's also going to be available as well. I had a really good time with this movie. There's a lot of parts that really kind of chilled me, and it's definitely one of those slower atmospheric horror films where the camera does a lot of work, and also your mind does a lot of work too, putting pieces together where there are things that are there and there are things that are not there. So do that with what you like. If you want to watch this film, I quite enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to pick up the physical disc when it does come out on Criterion. So that kind of leads up to the last 2 films that I watched not too long ago, the last couple days, as I'm ending up my journey in July. There's going to be a few more things I'm sure I'm going to watch. But I was able to rewatch these films because I've been on this martial arts kick, and I've definitely had this in the back of my mind. These are some of the first martial arts films that I ever watched, and that is Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. And I have them reversed to however you're watching this. But man, oh man, I love the first Kill Bill. I really like the second Kill Bill. I think together it's phenomenal. This is the first Quentin Tarantino. This pair is the first 2 films I watched from Quentin Tarantino back as a teenager. Man, these movies are great. I cannot believe these are almost 20 years old now. That's insane to me to think about. But yeah, I love Uma Thurman in this, of course, and everyone in the cast is just incredible. And honestly, seeing Gordon Liu in two roles, right, as one of the leaders of the Crazy 88, and then of course as Pai Mei in Kill Bill Volume 2, I loved it. Seeing that reference and now knowing more about the different backgrounds, it makes me so happy. I mean, these 2 films, it makes me happy to think, what I've been doing recently, watching martial arts films, but also just adding more film knowledge and just cultural knowledge of these different time periods that happened, and then adding them to supplementary adding them to films that I have already seen before and revisiting them. It just brings an extra layer of appreciation and love of these films, and these films kick ass, and I love them. I absolutely love everyone involved with this. It's got a really nice blend of that kind of schlockiness meets with really great dialogue, really great action sequences, and of course really incredible characters that are unforgettable. And then the music by RZA is just I think he did a really fantastic job producing this and then putting together quite the soundtrack. The soundtrack I actually had on CD back when these came out, and a lot of these songs are like, I have scenes from the film just always live in my head when I'm watching these movies. So loved it, loved it, loved it. Cannot wait to get the whole bloody affair, maybe one day on 4K and not botched like the Inglourious Bastards release. But anyway, that is what I watched for the month of July 2022. I had a lot of travels. I did a lot of things. I also picked up quite a bit, and I'll be doing that soon, where I'll be kind of collecting all my films that I watched, and hopefully films that I picked up, and hopefully I can watch some to talk about a little bit with you. But yeah, what have you been picking up and watching for the month of July? I would love to know in the comment section down below. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like, comment down below, share, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.